Welcome back to the Den. We are back. Little hiatus last week. We were too busy celebrating the holiday for National Tight Ends Day. But we are back here. Matt Porter here with Evan Blyler. And we are entering week 9 of the NFL season. This is like the critical point of the year. We're now halfway through the actual NFL season, well beyond that for fantasy. So you probably know what direction your team is headed in at this point. Are you pushing for a playoff spot? Are you trying to get a number 1 seed in Dynasty? Are you a true contender? Or is it time to start selling off some assets? So we'll be breaking down, all these NFL matchups, probably touch on the majority of players that would impact your fantasy lineups. But since it's been a couple weeks here, Evan, how are we doing?
Not doing too bad. Some leagues are looking pristine. Others, garbage, like dumpster fire. It's tough. I mean, it's kind of just like across the board. It really just depended on what position on the draft board you got. And if you had a little bit more reliability and some of the more like unfavorable picks that people may have ranked at the beginning of the season. But at least overall, yeah, I'm really enjoying this fantasy season. Disappointed in some, at least getting halfway through the year, a lot of injuries to a lot of key players. So really hoping like once a lot of these individuals come back, we can kind of see the impact for the team, at least later in the stretch of the season, and maybe save some records.
Yeah. We get Brock Bowers back, which is what we've been waiting for. So, or what I've been waiting for. So I'm just excited. I am excited. I'm locked in. I got a 1 in 7 team. That's terrible. We've had some bad luck there, but now I've had enough waiver additions where my team's loaded. So we're clearing every single week. So maybe we can I feel like even if you're desperate, you could still make a push. Nothing is out of the question at this point. You just need some positive things to happen and also some bad things to happen to your league mates, right? Like some people might lose out their seasons. All right. But as you alluded to, we had some big injuries for sure this year, but we're going to get back one of the stars of the league tomorrow night in this showdown. Ravens at Dolphins. Lamar Jackson is practicing in full and is ready to go for this Thursday night matchup. And if you have Lamar, you are probably thrilled because you get the perfect matchup here against the Miami Dolphins, who've been just fantasy gold for everybody except the Falcons last week. But how are we feeling this Thursday night game's going to go? We've had a lot of shootouts on Thursday nights. I guess last week was really the real exception. Definitely was not. It was a one-sided game last week for sure. But how are we feeling headed into tomorrow's primetime matchup?
I think it's going to be pretty exciting. At least in terms of like the previous week and how the Ravens did. I think Tyler Huntley actually did a pretty decent job, at least filling the hole. And I definitely think the ship has sailed, at least for people being able to like buy low on Derrick Henry. I think he's been doing really well the last 2 games. And I think at least with Lamar Jackson, like he's only going to double to triple and just alleviate a lot of that rush game for him. But yeah, no, this will be fun. I think this is just going to be a fun all around game. I think if the Dolphins can kind of carry that momentum, just based on last game, like Tua looked great. I never would have guessed they would have had the quality of game, especially going up against that Bears team who, is actually, against that Atlanta team who I really thought looked really out of character. Like it was just strange. The whole offensive scheme felt weird. I don't want to cover too much of the Falcons, at least at the beginning. But I just thought, at least for both of those matchups, it didn't really feel like it really should have played out that way. It almost felt like they should have been a little bit more tighter games, and they both look sharp. So I think both sides, you really can't go wrong. I thought the Dolphins look great even without Darren Waller, who I know they really crutched on. And I just think it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's interesting that last week, Tua has this eye injury pop up, and all of a sudden he can see the field better than he has all season. So I think there is some reverse mojo there. Their matchup last week was a reminder to me we've talked about this. It's like you kind of do have to follow the vibes a little bit. Like when Drake London's sort of just like randomly out, like when no one's expecting it. And then you get Kirk. It's like, okay, things are weird happening here. Maybe the Dolphins win this one. I need to just memory bank that lesson that when there's weird vibes the morning of, you just avoid that team altogether. But didn't do that last week. I think where I'm impressed here is on the Ravens side. I thought their defense just looked really sharp last week against the Bears. So I think the bye week certainly helped them get some adjustments made there. So I don't know, like I don't really buy. I think last week was really a fluke for the Dolphins offense, but just knowing it's a Thursday night game, I feel like there will be some volume here. And even if it is a one-sided affair for the Ravens, that just means the second half will give you some fantasy goodness for the Dolphins. So only I don't know. I feel like you probably feel pretty good about everyone in this game. I think Derrick Henry, this is a 2-touchdown game for him.
I love that call.
Feeling pretty confident in that. Might have to place a small unit on that one. But yeah, no, I'm really excited to see Lamar back in action. I think Zay Flowers should cook here. No, the Dolphins side, of course, you're starting Achane. I think Waddle's startable, just more of the flex tier for me. If you look at his game log, it's been so hit or miss, even without Tyreek Hill, where he's like getting you 20 or 5. That's just kind of how it is. So if you're starting him, I feel like that's more of like your own risk tolerance. And if he goes off and you bench him, like so be it. But yeah. No.
I think with a revived Ravens offense, just with Lamar coming back, I think that the Dolphins are going to have a lot less time, at least on the field. And you're just really not going to see any of that comparison, at least to this previous week. I kind of agree on that.
Yeah. No, so there's nothing better than starting the week with an elite quarterback on Thursday night. So, those aren't always the best matchups, but we get a good one here. Okay, then we're moving on to 49ers Giants. Obviously, heartbreaking news in New York with Cam Scatterbo, having a pretty brutal injury there, and hate to see all the reactions from the teammates. So it looks like definitely Tyrone Tracy. He probably went on all your waivers already, but clear number one claim. I think he's a startable RB2 for really the rest of the season. There's not much competition there between him and Singletary. And I think heading into the season, the challenge with this backfield was kind of thinking that Tracy would have the third down role. That's not really what happened. Scatterbo really took over pretty quickly. But I think Tracy still has the 3-down skill set. So a pretty good volume play there. And then on the Niners side, I think we get Brock Purdy back. It's still not entirely confirmed or not, but it's looking a little bit more optimistic. But either way, should be a pretty good matchup for whoever is starting at the quarterback position in San Francisco.
Yeah, I think on this as well. You're seeing a Nurse Niners team for the first time in a while. So I'm really kind of just excited. I mean, I thought Juwan Jennings looked great last week. I thought George Kittle was absolute 180 from his return game. I can only see it getting better, at least in San Francisco, especially with Brock Purdy coming back. I don't know. Is the Giants another vibe pick at this point? Are we down on the Giants now with Dart? I don't even know where to come. I know they're getting back Darius Slayton, but I don't know. I just feel like it's tough when you don't have. I mean, I do like Tracy. I admit it, but I don't know. It's just it's another vibes team for me. I thought Scatterbo and Dart were so electric together that I thought that's the only reason why they built out the last sequence of games they've had.
Yeah, I mean, Scatterbo went down pretty early, and Dart still had a great game. So I don't know. I think the vibes in New York. I'm on the opposite. I think they're good. I know the injury is terrible, but there's just something fun about Dart under center that seems to really rally the team. I think this is gonna be a good game. I mean, just with how decimated the Niners defense is, I don't necessarily think Tracy's the best running back of all time or anything like that, but we have no Fred Warner, we have no Bosa. I don't know. They've been playing pretty put together as an experienced unit, but I don't know. I think that we got shootout here.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah. I think we'll get a Dart rushing touchdown, and maybe one of those big Slayton plays. I don't really. If you are starting Dart, it's probably tough because he's really for me rest of season more in that 12 to 15 range. But in most cases, unless you haven't paired with another must start guy, it's hard to get away from him. And I have some super flex leagues where I had him as much more of a depth quarterback, and I've traded away other guys because I just want I don't want to have to pick between Dart and anyone else. Like, he just needs to be my QB2. So I don't know. Something special about this New York team. And especially if Purdy plays. I know Mac Jones has been solid, but I think this would be a huge game for Purdy. I think this Giants defense is 31st against quarterbacks in fantasy right now. So
yeah, not good.
Love to see it. Yeah, I feel like we got a shootout here. I really do. And McCaffrey's, going to have a huge bounce back here after his 6 or 7 points. So, be a fun one. All right, Chargers Titans. This one should be lopsided. I'll be at this game, so it's probably jinxed already. Like, you probably want to avoid everyone that's in this game. I'll bring my bad 1-7 vibes to the Titans stadium here. No, but Chargers. Here's good vibes. Justin Herbert out and about in LA 3 days in a row with Madison Beer, right? Got Halloween party, got a Dodgers
basketball
game,
for
blocking a basketball, gets Joe Alt back, absolutely decimate their opponent on Thursday night. These are good vibes here. He's smiling, he's happy, he's protected up front, getting Alt back. With Ladd McConkey, great game. Oronde Gadsden, just best tight end in the league. And this offense is now starting to look a little bit how we have been predicting on this show. Where Quentin Johnston is sort of phased out now. Keenan Allen still involved, but to a much smaller extent, and it's running through Ladd McConkey again. And hey, Kamani Vidal filling in very nicely here for Amari and Hampton. We were wrong on that one. That was the one waiver wire pick I wasn't excited for, and he's been awesome.
Yeah, this is going to be good. I mean, I think the Chargers are just primed to have a day. I think if they can suppress a Minnesota team like they did, I don't see why the Titans will even put up, over 10 points. I don't really see that. But outside, yeah, like you're saying, I thought they looked great. I think Ladd McConkey's finally finding his footing. I think they just kind of had that rift when they brought Keenan back in, and they didn't necessarily know where to schedule certain routes, who to have where. But yeah, I think the wide receiver status in terms of 1 through 3 is finally kind of playing out how most of us would have predicted, at least now. At the beginning of the season, when you truly drafted Ladd McConkey, going second round. But no, yeah, I think this is going to be pretty one-sided. I think Titans vibes have been pretty atrocious. I don't see it really play out too many times where Calvin Ridley goes nuclear, or really much of anyone. I hate to say it. I'm not even high on Tony Pollard. He hasn't even stuck for me. I think he's droppable. But yeah, no, it's going to be a fun game. I think overall, Los Angeles is going to lock this.
Yeah, and the only scary thing about that is, at least for I think this is going to be a big Vidal game, because I expect him to have the lead early and just be able to run. So I'm definitely starting him where I have him. I'm starting, dude, Gadsden is top 4. He's in that Kittle, McBride, Bowers, must start tight end, and Tucker Kraft. I feel like he is that good, and I don't think this is a fluke. Not really a victory lap, but as a Syracuse guy myself, definitely was trying to flag plant for Gadsden a little bit in the offseason. Not like I had him super high in my rookie rankings, but higher than consensus, and saying hey, this guy could actually probably play. And he's a stud. And the reason Ladd had that big touchdown is because they were doubling Gadsden. So you get Ladd McConkey and man. So this just helps everybody. I don't know. It's a fun team, but it probably will still have that weekly rotation of who's getting the work. And maybe just right now it's been Ladd's been the beneficiary of that. They might try to get QJ involved here, but you just got to hope those guys score early, because this one, the doors could close on this one pretty quickly. And on the Titans side, the only reason I would advocate to hold Tony Pollard is heavy trade rumors here. So I think he's still a good player. I think this team is just atrocious, and there's no touchdown upside. He wasn't spotted at practice. No one really knows why. It's not an injury. So to me, that kind of indicates there's internal conversations, and he knows he's moving, and it's let's stay away from the team and just move on. I don't know. And they're the Chiefs are an RB needy team right now. Like there's good situations he could go to. But we can only hope. And then that should open things for Spears. I know there's a lot of Spears truthers out there. I played against him this week, so of course he scored. Should have blown out this team.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's one of those weeks where I was like projected to win so heavily towards the end of the 1 p.m. slate, and I just like I looked at my wife. I'm like, so some crazy stuff's about to happen like in these games. Like, and then I went against a team that had Breece Hall and Mason Taylor, so obviously Breece Hall would throw a touchdown to Mason. It was like that kind of day as it's been all season. I finally started betting that way though, where I was like, let me just fade my team. And it's made me a lot happier because it's like the universe is saying, hey, like, no, don't be upset about fantasy. Know that everything bad is going to happen and just like place bets on that.
I mean, you can genuinely never go wrong if you do that. That's like going to your favorite team's game and betting on the other team for a massive amount of money just so you're not as upset.
Yeah. Mason Taylor won me a lot of money. I was going against him in 3 leagues. I'm like, he hasn't scored all season. He's due. It's going to happen.
I love the call. I can't lie.
I usually put like $1 bets on, like that was a large bet for me, but it worked out. But we're done. We're done. We're done for the year. We're good. We're quitting while we're ahead. I don't even know where I am. Wow. I just got so excited. Titan side of things. Yeah, Pollard could get traded, which should open it up for Spears. I know there's a lot of like Spears truthers. I'm not a huge believer. Like all of his work this past week was like just garbage time. So if you're just like looking at the box score and it's like, oh, like Spears is so good. He had one really big run that made up like all his points and then just garbage time touchdown. Like I don't know. It's better than I guess being in a split backfield. So I think what I'm trying to say is if Pollard leaves, it at least makes both of them better.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think like deep leagues, anyone that holds them is going to be happy.
Yeah. If you're a dynasty Pollard person, like that's what you're hoping for. Mm-hmm. He's one of those like very obvious buy lows from this past offseason that like has really not paid off. It's like you can't start him. All right. Vikings Lions, we get a healthy JJ McCarthy back in this one. I'm feeling kind of positive about JJ McCarthy because he had that really good first game. I mean, it was like really the second half of his first game where he played really well, put up around 24 fantasy points, and then had the terrible game against Atlanta. But then we saw that Atlanta defense like put a ton of pressure on Josh Allen, and like he had his worst fantasy day there. So now with like the JJ McCarthy stuff, it's like, okay, he had one good game and one bad game against a team that's made a lot of quarterbacks struggle. So I think now that we know the Falcons defense is good, like other than this past week, it kind of makes that JJ McCarthy like bad game look a little bit better, especially when you're considering it's his second NFL start. I don't know. Do you feel like this is an upgrade over Wentz, or is this worse for our skills players in Minnesota?
I don't know. I feel like it's tough. I mean, I feel like that Minnesota line is good, but it looked out of character at least last game or two. Like I feel like they didn't necessarily protect Wentz the way they should have, or how I would expect it at least. When I remember when I first made the call saying, "Oh yeah, Wentz, he fits into schemes." I said it. I'll own that, but he hasn't done too horrible of a job. But I think with McCarthy coming back, I think it could get fun for them. I think he's still trying to find his footing, and it's tough coming back injury after injury. But no, yeah, this should be great. I mean, like Lions, obviously, your must starts. Like they're coming off of a bye, everyone's fresh, they look good. You literally can't go wrong with any of them. But I'm kind of truly just waiting to see how the Vikings can kind of bounce back for this week, because that was rough. That was rough against the Chargers.
We gotta hope that JJ can at least give them some life. I mean, I think like you're saying, what's been so uncharacteristic is they've been unable to run the ball, which is really what the vision was for the Vikings. And JJ McCarthy was, he'll be okay in this system. We can let go of Darnold. We'll become like a run first team and like just open things up for our essentially rookie quarterback. And that's just not what's happened. Like they have to throw the ball quite a bit. This is going to be tough though, because you do have the Lions coming off of a bye where it's just like, you gotta kind of feel for JJ McCarthy. This is like a pretty big start, but I'm a big game in like the revenge narrative, and obviously him being a Michigan guy. I think he has some extra emotions returning here to play the Lions. So we'll see. What's going on with Jameson Williams? How do you value him? In probably probably dropping him in redraft. Like, is there hope long term from the dynasty standpoint? I've like not been a Jameson guy. He was on my bust list this season, and I just feel bad for people who drafted him because he's putting up like 0 points, like 2 points, and that's certainly not what you wanted for someone that was being drafted as a wide receiver 2.
Yeah, I think that's a tough situation. I mean, especially like knowing how good of a deep threat he is, it's like almost not even been there. Like I understand that the Lions they run the ball. Like it's no surprise there. You've got 2 of the best running backs in the league with Gibbs and Montgomery, and then obviously one of the top 5 wide receivers in the league, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I feel like they're really just he's getting outshadowed and just not even really getting the looks. So I do kind of agree with you in the sense where, like, at least this year, he does not fit into the scheme for like what they're trying to do, especially with how they're trying to run the offense and who really fits. But kind of out of character, at least, when he returned from last season from like a suspension, like he kind of exploded for a bit, and I would have expected that they could fit him back in and kind of make it another year for him. But yeah, no, I kind of agree with you on that. I think it's tough. I think I don't necessarily see a situation where they change the scheme, like it works and they've been successful with it. They've got great players. So if they can just keep that, unfortunately, I just think JMO, I'm kind of in that same bucket. He's droppable.
Yeah, he's just like that best ball type of player. And I think sometimes this shapes maybe too much of the offseason conversation heading into these drafts. Like consistency is kind of a fake term sometimes in fantasy, because like what does consistency mean? It's like the weeks where you have like where you're doing worse from a catch and yardage standpoint, you happen to score. It's so unpredictable. But I do think it matters when there's players like Jameson Williams and even like Xavier Worthy, where they do profile as like really just deep players that will have big games and then will be completely quiet because they're just not volume earners. And I hope this is a lesson. Like we shouldn't be elevating players of that profile to be top 24 receivers. Like I think those boom bust profiles like really should be saved for your flex position and for your depth piece. That's kind of how I've always been, and maybe that's too traditionalist, but I can't build around these players unless it's a best ball format where you're just going to get their big weeks. Or am I crazy there? Do you like shooting for these kind of volatile, high upside profiles?
I think it depends on the team. Like when you have a winning team that knows their guys and they know how they want to play the ball, like how could you go wrong with the scheme? I think when you have teams that are a little more disheveled and, they can't necessarily always rely on the same guys, they need to kind of make those downfield long plays to really kind of get anywhere in the game. I think, you're going to see a lot more value in that. But yeah, I mean, it is kind of hard, at least to talk for this season, because you kind of been seeing that for a bit across the board, besides some of like the more fun teams like Chargers, Broncos. But yeah, it's kind of been a weird conversation, at least for them. Like this Lions team is just so good. They're so good. And yeah, I just don't really see a world where, at least if you did plan around it, you're going to have that much more fun of a season when you got Jameson.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's just depressing to try to predict when to start them. On the Viking side, I want to talk to you a little bit about the backfield because we do have Aaron Jones return this past week. And this was just such an interesting game between the Vikings and the Chargers, where the Chargers took such a big lead that like Mason was barely involved. Do you think that's game script, or is it more of Aaron Jones is back and this is his backfield? What would that mean for Jordan Mason? Because week 1, when they were both healthy, it was a pretty evenly split backfield, and it just seemed like Jones got more of the work, at least more of the touches you want for fantasy, since he's on like the passing downs this past week. Are you dropping Mason, or are you hoping that this becomes more of a tandem and they figure things out here with JJ?
Yeah, I was surprised about that too. And I'm kind of on the side where I feel like with Aaron Jones back, it got rid of the value for me, at least after seeing this game. I'm not as necessarily as high where I would have been on Mason for rest of season. And funny enough, like I've got like a super not deep league, like it's pretty shallow. I get 3 running backs, and I personally dropped Mason. It was more of like a vibes pick. It just didn't feel right. I could see a world where, he does get a little bit more of a share. But at least with like Jones back, I'm just not really high on it. I think Jones probably will end up getting a lot of the touches because I didn't really feel like Mason really did anything out of the ordinary when he had his time to be the full-on starter and get all those reps.
Yeah.
So I guess it's more of like a proving thing, and I think they just felt like they wanted to go with their guy, and that's how they felt.
Yeah. I would think Mason would get the goal line work. It's just we didn't really get to see that this past week because there were just no opportunities to score. All right. Falcons, Patriots, 2 teams on very different trends right now. Falcons seem to be very hit or miss. They either play awesome and can beat the Bills of the league and then get absolutely torched by Tua, one-eyed Tua this past weekend. And then we have the Patriots with Drake May, who I think should be the MVP at this point in the season. I know it's really between him and Mahomes right now. I would certainly make an argument for May. And this is just a fun Patriots team. Allegedly trying to trade for a running back, but I don't want anyone to panic about that. I think it's just to replace Antonio Gibson. Like I think it's to have that third depth guy in the room. Like I don't think they're out here trying to acquire a starter. We had a mini Travion Henderson breakout game. 10 carries for 75 yards, does lose a fumble, which like one of my favorite jokes that I've seen on the internet is like, oh, he's proven that he can like now do everything Ramondre did now that he fumbles. So maybe he'll get the Vrabel treatment and be rewarded with like 30 carries. But no, it was nice to see them actually use him on outside runs. It was no longer just up the middle, and he kind of got to flash that ability. So I don't know. I think this Patriots team every week, they're just impressing. The deep ball's still there. May is playing out of his mind. And now we're seeing a little bit more versatility in the run game, which just shows me this coaching staff really knows what they're doing. That Josh McDaniels can say, okay, the passing game is clicking. What can we improve on? Let's start using our rookie running back in a different way to see if he can be more successful and add another element to this offense. So it's all fun there in New England.
No, yeah, it's great. I mean, May works the field, I would argue, as like the MVP. Like I thought he's done so well. Like, and it tickles me pink, at least for like a UNC guy, seeing him come out and be able to do so well in the league. Especially with what, when he landed like with a pretty garbage Patriots team. I hate to say it because they're doing so well now, but like I honestly never would have expected it. But no, this is gonna be a fun game. I think you're gonna see. I don't know, what was the status again on Penix? Is Penix back for this week, or is he gonna be?
As far as we know, I don't think it was supposed to be a long-term injury.
Okay, yeah, because guess what? Kirk Cousins filled in for him. Yeah, bad tryout for him. Penix, I think, slots back in.
As of 3 hours ago, they're optimistic he returns. So
that's okay. That's good. Yeah, and then I mean, definitely had a character. Like you saw a team that didn't have Drake London, didn't have Penix, barely fed the ball to Bijan. I want to say what it was. I think it was a season low snaps for that specific game, which was insane for the caliber of player that Bijan is. Like barely played him, and I want to say I think they gave him only a few touches in the fourth quarter, when you would think that'd be like the best time to try and have the best player on the team, just get some garbage time. Like, I don't know. That's frustrating, at least as a Bijan owner, and how high I am, at least for the entire season. But no, I think this will be a better game if they can get full healthy team, and kind of just see a competitive one. Like you were saying earlier, very out of character for the Falcons D. It just felt weird the whole entire game. Like the script didn't go the way that we've seen the Falcons kind of trend, at least for this year. So This will be an interesting one, especially with the Patriots kind of getting some heat.
I think the Patriots match up so well here with the Falcons, where I could see it being another difficult day. so we have Gonzalez that could, match up with anyone, and should be a fun battle between him and Drake London. And then just the Patriots defense has really stopped the run. So those are the two things that the Falcons need to do: is they need to run Bijan and they need to get the ball to Drake London. So I think this should be a pretty interesting game. And I think the Falcons defense is going to continue to decline here. I think May's going to torch them. Like if you're in sleeper leagues where, you see the matchup and you see that red matchup of Drake May going against the Falcons, I don't care. Like he's going to shred here. So that you're starting Drake May, but how do we feel about these pass catchers? Because Kayshon Boutte, I think we talked about him definitely earlier weeks as like a good kind of flex pickup, but is he more moving into an every week type of starter thing? Or, May's spreading the ball so well to a lot of different guys. You have Mac Hollins really involved in this one. Pop Douglas continue making big catches. You got Diggs getting his first touchdown of the season. Hunter Henry only has one catch, but it's for a touchdown. You have the other tight end, Austin Hooper, making play. Like there's so many average guys in this wide receiver room or just pass catching group. And yet May is finding them all. So is this a situation where you like any of them in particular, or it's just kind of a injury / bye week flex play, hoping that they're the guy that May targets that week?
Yeah, I think I'll need a little bit more larger of a sample size, at least. It's very reminiscent of kind of how the Broncos have been operating, where you could have any one player on the team kind of pop off for the week. There's really no like one true shot, at least in my eyes, at least for like a wide receiver core. And, an even more of a mystery brings me back to the running backs for the Patriots. It was nice to see like TreVeyon Henderson kind of break. I would say he broke out for this game, especially in comparison. What I want to say was a Ramondre Stevens fumble from what I remember. I'm pretty sure again, but yeah, no, I just like I can't read the team. Like I can't say anyone's like a surefire, start outside of Drake May, who I would think by far is making this team like what it is.
Yeah, he's just elevating everyone around him, which is again why I think he should be the MVP. And it's always a fun discussion of what does MVP mean? Is it the best player on the best team, or is it the who like I've always viewed it of the mindset of like which team would be the worst without that player? Like how many games do the Patriots win without Drake May? Like not many. No. But I guess you kind of make that argument for the Chiefs too. But so all right. Colts, Steelers, huge sample size now here that we know the Colts are not a fluke. Like they're looking like a true Super Bowl contender, just playing like elite football at every single phase. Jonathan Taylor, to me, are already, like, I don't even care what happens the second half of the season. He should be offensive player of the year. He could like pretty much completely fall off, and he still put together a season's worth of like elite tape to win that award, which has been heavily favored for running backs the last few years with Saquon and Christian McCaffrey receiving it. And this should be a great game for the Colts. Steelers defense, as we've talked about on the show before, they're really struggling a little bit, or at least just definitely not performing the way we expected them to. But I think Daniel Jones is going to cook here. I think Taylor is certainly going to cook. Maybe a little parlay with a Derrick Henry 2 touchdown and Jonathan Taylor 2 touchdown type of game. And then I think Tyler Warren is actually going to feast in this one as well. The Patriots have really struggled, or not, the Steelers have really struggled against tight ends. And then on the Steelers side, Rodgers playing pretty good football. I think they still need another weapon there. So it's funny that they're trying to trade for receivers. George Pickens would have been a nice fit there. But we'll see what happens here. Any good takes for this one?
Yeah, I think personally, like at least as of watching the Colts, I think Michael Pittman for me is like a must-start flex, like every week. Like I have him. I love watching him play. He's probably one of the sneaky highlights on that team for players that I was able to pull so late in the draft boards that have just given me like so much value. So between Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, Tyler Warren, like they look great. It's kind of crazy. It's like never would have expected, and I'll say it every single week, never would have expected the Colts to just be this good.
Yeah.
like
I'm I'm really looking forward to like a Patrick Mahomes, Daniel Jones AFC championship. Like that is crazy.
It's super doable too. Like, which is the most mind-boggling thing.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, excited. I mean, it'll be interesting. Like I know Rodgers, he gels pretty well with DK. And DK's kind of proven at least to be a really reliable option for this year. Like I stayed away from DK. I didn't know what that scene was going to be. Personally, I felt like at least, where he fell on the draft board, the value didn't make sense to me. But no, I think he's really proven himself. And I think this will kind of be a fun game, at least for me, seeing it as like, the Colts not necessarily having like the best defense, but I think Rodgers might be able to work his magic and probably see a pretty quality game.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we got Broncos Texans here. I would say that this would be a defensive battle, but we do have a Patrick Surtain injury, unfortunately, here. A pec injury, so he should be missing a few weeks. I think that the most recent estimate that I saw was 2 to 4 weeks. So could be a really big game for Nico Collins. So I probably would have been scared to start or Surtain playing, but I mean, Nico should be back from a concussion here. So some good karma, I guess, towards the Texans side of things here. But Broncos are still playing some really good ball, but no one's really been able to do anything against this Texans defense. So how are we feeling about the Broncos players here?
I don't know. I think we're going to see a pretty similar game for them this week as, we saw against Dallas. Like I thought like the Broncos look great. Like I thought that they have such a great way of like working all of these players that you never really would have expected to have the year that they're having. Like Troy Franklin looked phenomenal. J.K. Dobbins was getting a lot of work. Bo absolutely flaring up the boards, scoring ridiculous points. So I don't know. This is going to be one of those ones where it'll feel like an obvious defensive matchup with how good that Texans D is. But like it's like I feel like it's gotten overshadowed with like the caliber of players that Houston has. Like we just haven't seen it, and now we're kind of seeing Stroud kind of catch his footing and kind of mirror where we would have expected them, at least as of like a year or two ago. Where he came in and we were so high on him. You were probably picking him as like a top 5 QB. So I'm only hoping that he trends because I think the fantasy value could be pretty exponential on both sides.
Yeah. And is Woody Marks entering must-start territory for you? He's strung together a couple of like really good games here. And seemingly, and he hasn't really taken over the backfield, but he's taken over the passing down work, which is what he was known for in college. So I have a lot of leagues where he's like my RB2, and I don't necessarily feel great about it, but I'm sure for other people in the situation, you could do a lot worse.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. I think he's definitely startable. Is that like RB2 or like, a W flex, if you'd say, just to like slot him in. Because he's going to get the touches. It's kind of at least proven on his track. But he's kind of, for me, he's probably going to need a few more games just kind of prove himself and like how they want to figure this scheme out. Because I thought CJ Stroud like kind of played out of his mind in comparison to like the entire like season so far. And kind of finally found his footing on, his passing game. So we'll see. I mean, it probably will end up being game to game. Like if he can kind of continue throwing at the caliber that he is, I think that it'll really open up the field and it'll get a lot more opportunities for Woody Marks to kind of break into those red zone opportunities, get you some of those 7-point values that you'd like to see, and kind of reassert Woody Marks' status at least as like a true RB2 and make you specifically feel comfortable.
Yeah, I'm feeling good about my dynasty shares of him. Like I think
for sure,
because I got him on waivers in most of my dynasty leagues, so feeling pretty good about that. All right, next up, Bears at Bengals. Joe Flacco is him. Well, I guess they did lose to the Jets, so maybe not. But they are playing pretty well. I don't know. Bears struggling. I don't really know what we're going to get with this Bears team on a weekly basis. It seems to, some weeks it looks like Caleb's really progressing and living up to his kind of draft capital. And then there's other weeks where he just looks a little bit confused. So dare I say shootout here? I mean, this Bengals defense is just atrocious that I think anyone's going to look good. I expect Rome Odunze to score. It's been a while for him. So this would be a good bounce back spot for him. But it's really the run game of the Bears is actually what's kind of carrying them right now. Not as much in the passing game. How are we feeling?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I definitely want to see a bounce back game because I thought at least like this past week, with Bears Baltimore, I would have thought they would have kind of taken advantage of the slate a little bit better. Like, I would have expected to see a better outcome from like Colston Loveland with, Kmet out. I was kind of surprised at that split in the backfield at times with, Swift and Monangai. Who I thought, honestly, if you're a Monangai owner, I thought he slated in pretty well. But no, for this week, I'm expecting a lot more. I think at least now, Bengals D, not good. So if he can kind of find his footing again this week, I want to see kind of the Bears excel. And to your point, I think it's kind of getting the rumblings of a bit of I'll call it again, another shootout. But Bengals are fun to watch, at least with like the offensive weapons that they have. And I'm hoping, I know I saw it, but Joe Flacco being questionable as of right now. Crazy game this past week, like crazy game between Jets Bengals. Like that was insane. But no, I think Joe Flacco can really be that guy, and I'm pretty high on him at least for like rest of season.
Yeah, no, I think Joe Flacco's the perfect person where like in dynasty leagues where depending on your league settings, like in all my leagues, we determine our draft order by worst max PF to prevent like benching players to tank. It was like, if you want to tank, you can still tank, but you have to trade away your players that are scoring points if you really want to secure. Like, so teams that have Joe Flacco are like probably terrified right now because he's having such good quarterback weeks that if he's on your roster at all and you're not good, you kind of just got to, I totally get it because you probably feel like he's a starting quarterback right now. He's playing well. He's worth more than a third. But like, get him off your team. Like, it's a one season, most likely. Like, I don't know. That like, so I'm all for like at this stage of the season, like the soft tanking where, because you still, I think anything's possible. I think you can still make the playoffs really still at this point of the season. But like start unloading. If you're in a league like in like the ones that I'm in where it is max PF is what determines those draft orders and you feel like you're on the fringe, sell some of those depth pieces that are hurting you on your bench. Whereas like you keep your starters, keep your core. I don't know, but get rid of the Joe Flaccos of the world. Long rant there, but soft tanking is fun. Okay. Panthers at Packers. I'm going to say this now. I think I probably won't see a snap of this game. Like, I don't know. The Packers have been a little bit more watchable with the Tucker Kraft show that we all got to see this past weekend. And Jordan Love played very well. I don't know. I just feel like I haven't been excited watching the Packers that much this year. And then Panthers, it seems like it is Rico Dowdle season. I saw a quote from Canales pretty much saying like he's proven that he should get like most of the work. But you still get Chuba scoring in this past week. So it's like it's like the Pollard Spears thing where, it's just, they both aren't that usable as long as they're both there and both valued. But I think we're getting a healthy Bryce Young here. Maybe that turns things around for us.
Yeah. I feel like this is just going one of those games where like neither team really excites me, and going into that, it's like, it's tough to kind of watch these kind of games play out because you almost feel like you don't necessarily know who like a clear favorite is. Like I personally, like, Green Bay is going to have a good game, but you're also unsure at the same time based on, from game to game and kind of where they slate off in certain, for certain coverages. So I don't feel like super confident in like any one singular player from a week to week. Like I feel like any other option that you could have would probably end up being better than a good portion of the players here, yeah, outside of like Tucker Kraft and Jordan Love. But even so, with Jordan Love, like I just feel like it can be like hit or miss from like week to week.
It's like, are they going to be a run heavy team that week, or are they going to shoot? Like, it really depends on what they do in the red zone, and it's different. It's not predictable on the week to week basis.
Then outside of like Josh Jacobs, like you know what you're getting with Josh Jacobs every single time he plays. Yeah. It's the same rinse and repeat game. It's like almost not exciting to a certain team, but for fantasy owners, it's nice.
The surprising part of this Packers team now is the return of Christian Watson for me, where someone that I've liked throughout his career is just unfortunately he's dealt with injuries. And I was surprised with how good he looked in his first game back from, a pretty serious knee injury. So I think if you're hoping for that late Matthew Golden breakout, it just becomes a little bit more complicated now. I know everyone jokes about the Packers, like they have like 10 wide receiver twos, but like that is the reality of it. And I know it's kind of like what we were talking about the Patriots, although I think even the Patriots are a little bit more predictable because you still have the Diggs that's going to, in theory, be the first read. Mm-hmm. Whereas the Packers don't even really have that clear guy. I mean, it is Tucker Kraft. He's their wide receiver.
Yeah, by a country mile. Yeah. Like he's by far the best, one of the best receivers in that team, if not the best. He's kind of made that very apparent.
Absolutely. Should be another huge game for him as the Panthers struggle mightily against the tight end position. All right, Saints at Rams. We have a quarterback change here. I don't want to just fight about this forever, but I think it's actually kind of unwarranted. This felt very much like we want to see Tyler Shuck, not a Spencer Rattler's playing so bad we need to bench him. Although Rattler did completely sell several squads that played against the Bucs defense, just absolutely nuts performance from them. But yeah, I don't know. I felt like Rattler, like he didn't play. Obviously, he didn't play well, but it was like his first bad half this season, and it's like, okay, you're out. We got to play our rookie, and I don't know, because you're kind of trying to develop Rattler too in this situation. But anyway, regardless, whatever feelings aside, we get Tyler Shuck in this game. Rams are coming off a bye here. Like this is the DST start of the week for me. Like they should absolutely feast here at home against a quarterback starting in his first game on a team that is 1-7.
Yeah, no, this is going to be honestly an interesting game, at least who are like must starts, who fits where. It kind of muddies up Olave to a certain standard because, we were so high, at least on like his volume and his ability and his opportunity to potentially be like, that like top 15. But like the uncertain QB position with this and like, who's going to perform well, what weeks, like it kind of like in a lackluster way, it doesn't make me feel like as confident going in to be able to start him as like my wide receiver 2 in certain weeks and certain like matchups. So I'm interested to see, like, I know it's week to week, but I think it's going to be tough. Like you're coming off of like a Rams bye week team. I'm expecting, you have all your must starts for the Rams, like, what they bring. So I just don't know where I see like I don't know where I see like a situation where it's that close of a game. I hate to say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I feel across the board great about the Rams. Like you can't go wrong with them, but my heart goes out to the Saints because, I know how high you were on Rattler and kind of where he was pulling that team into some like actually like unscoreless games that you'd probably see if another QB was in the slot there.
Yeah, they were feisty with good teams. Like they hung in there with the Bills. Like, and Spencer had a terrible half. Like I won't deny that at all. It's just I don't know. Usually there's a bit more of a leash with a young developing quarterback, but then again, you just spent a second round pick on Tyler Shuck. But so I more than anything, I just feel bad for Spencer Rattler because it's like they were developing you, and then the first excuse they had to bench you, they do. Mm-hmm. But for all we know, this could have always been the plan, where it's like, let's give 8 weeks to one and 8 weeks to the other, So I think Olave is still safe because I think he really is just the volume play. I mean, he's getting double-digit targets, and that's more of a Kellen Moore thing to me than like a quarterback. But we just got to hope that Tyler Shuck has any semblance of accuracy to even for Olave to even make the most of those targets. Yeah. Is Kamara completely done? I'm talking like career-wise. Like the dynasty angle, I bought low on him and like regret it because it's not buying low when their career's over.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty hopeful that we would at least see a trade this year. I know there were like talks of it and it seemed promising, but like with him calling that, yeah, I feel like it's really not going to develop into anything, especially if he's like unwilling to make that jump and work with the franchise. I'm sure that's like a two-way street, at least on this decision, with him being such a valuable franchise running back. So at least from like a dynasty perspective, like I'm always in that redraft brain, but yeah, like it's vibes are bad for Kamara.
Yeah, it's not looking good. Okay. Jaguars Raider. I mean, a lot of teams were on bye last week, so we get a Jags team that's rested here. But traveling across the country, traveling to Vegas to play the Raiders, or right now, the only type of hope that they have is that Brock Bowers will be playing this week. He is fully healthy. Jacoby Myers at the time of this recording is still on the Raiders, but he has to be gone. I mean, he didn't even play in their last game. So apparently there's lots of interest there from the Steelers, Bills, and one more team that I can't think of off the top of my head. But Jaguars defense here, I think, should feast. But it's a good matchup for Bowers as well because Jags haven't done much against tight end. So he could make what will feel like his debut in a pretty stellar fashion here.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I want to see if we can get another Travis Hunter game. I want to see kind of a continued BTJ and just that continued volume, seeing kind of the shadow, at least, of what he was last year, especially for those that spent so much, draft capital on him and they just want to see some of that value. But no, yeah, I'm excited at least for the Jags. I think this could be a great game for them. And you could see a lot of the value that you would have wanted to earlier on in the season, hopefully unfold here.
I'm just going to say something here. I know we've talked about wanting to make more convicted takes on the show. I think Travis Hunter is their one. And I actually kind of thought that heading in. Like I thought Travis Hunter was that good. If it's 1A, 1B, then he's the 1A. And if it's a 1 and a 2, then he's the 1. Like I think Brian Thomas Jr. can still play to what he played last year. And even if he does that, I think Travis Hunter has the higher ceiling of the two. I think he's that talented. Dare I say generational.
But I like the take. I do. They're just one of those teams. Like I have not seen enough of them. Just with like how poorly they've kind of been. In majority of the games, at least this season, they've never really been one that caught my eye that I would keep up with. It'd mostly just be me checking ESPN fantasy for BTJ and do I get a shadow for stardom for next week?
And yet they're one of the best teams in the AFC. That's the most remarkable part about it.
I know.
They haven't figured it out on offense and they're still very good from a record standpoint. So I love that I'm so glad we got the Travis Hunter breakout before the bye. I'm just really excited to see what's to come. Patrick, who he's been on some of these are like episodes before in the off season. He's a huge Trevor Lawrence guy, and he gets so frustrated every Sunday, like really watching BTJ just not put in effort. And I thought I agreed with one of his takes where we were just texting during the game, and he was pretty much saying he's like Travis Hunter is the only receiver on the team that puts in effort, and I don't even know if that's true. I think it's more of like comparatively, like that's just a type of player. Like he out hustles he's that good. And you can tell when you watch him, the desire to be great. I don't know. It's just, he's fun to watch.
Yeah, he could certainly build that there too. Like, I feel like there's, at least as of right now, like he can prove himself to eventually fall into that and be that guy. So I don't see why not. Yeah, I love that take.
Yeah. everyone was saying like he could be the Higgins to the BTJ Chase, and I'm saying he's the Chase. He is the Chase. All right, Chiefs Bills, always a fun matchup here. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Chiefs are now I was gonna say fully healthy, but they do lose Isaiah Pacheco. But no worries, they have Kareem Hunt, looking like his 2015 self, getting 2 touchdowns on Monday night. But yeah, Rashee Rice is back, and as you and I both predicted, we were very much on the same page with Rice of just the offense will go through him, and it's going through him. And Travis Kelce's looking very good this season, like not just from a usage, and like he himself as a player is looking a lot better than he did the past 2 seasons here. And well, I don't know. I hope the Bills do trade for someone. They need some more. They just need to bolster those pass catchers. I would love like a Jacoby Myers going to the Bills, but we do have a little bit of a Khalil Shakir breakout last week, getting like 60-yard touchdown.
Yeah, no, this will be a fun game. It's just like that classic, like you have 2 teams that we always would expect and think are, Super Bowl contenders. So I just think all around great game. Like I love to see that Kansas City has all their weapons back. Always, yeah, to your point, always been super high on Rashee. Excited to see how he continues to kind of grow throughout the season and reassert the fact that like he's top 5. He like has to be. He's disgusting. But enough with accolades. But no, I think it's gonna be a fun game. Like I think, yeah, to your point, like I want to see. I don't have like a sure shot wide receiver, at least for Buffalo, that like I can feel confident with like every single week, just because of like how well like James Cook is doing, and Josh Allen's ability to like make all of his wide receivers do well. So it's it's almost reminiscent of the Broncos in a way where like you have those wide receivers and anyone could really pop off throughout the week, but in character, Josh Allen's Josh Allen, and James Cook is just going to keep frying.
Yeah. I think that'll be the big difference here. Really, should be the run games, because we know what both the quarterbacks can do. Okay, Chiefs running back room. Is there any value in Kareem Hunt rest of season? They're working Brashard Smith in a lot as well, or I shouldn't say a lot. He kind of broke out like 2 weeks ago. He was used heavily in the passing game, and I thought that would continue. And then actually this past week, he only played like 13% of snaps. So he's in a very limited role still. And Kareem Hunt is, even with Pacheco healthy for a lot of the Monday night game, when they were within the 5-yard line, they're going to Kareem Hunt. And I don't know, sometimes it's hard to find, like if you're a 0 RB type of guy and that room's just barren for you, there's worse you can do than Kareem Hunt, who has multiple touchdown upside every single week. Especially if Pacheco's out, because we're going from a 3-person committee to a 2-person committee, which only benefits Brashard Smith and Kareem Hunt. I don't know. Are you any excitement about these guys at all?
No, I don't. I think, yeah, like Mahomes' ability to scramble, I think kind of it still carries the same weight. Like I don't think anyone was really, none of those like teams really come into those matchups and they fear the RBs. Like they know who they have, and they know what they're going to bring each game. So I just feel like they have got bigger things on that field to worry about, like Rashee and then Mahomes, that it kind of outshadows it. And I feel like they really haven't been able to get, the run game to work in KC as well, at least of, we would have wanted, at least for some big KC fans, or just somehow how some of these games have played out. Like, I feel like it just hasn't been reliable. So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, if he can come in, like there was a Kareem Hunt touchdown this past week. So
2 rushing.
Oh, there's 2. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right.
Rushing and receiving.
Oh my, that's right. Yeah.
But he still only had 17 fantasy points with 2 touchdowns.
Which is crazy. But yeah, I can only really see like his true value coming out of the red zone. Like it's just how it kind of feels. It feels pretty cookie cutter to me.
It's a good team to be the red zone. So what you're saying is I should not have traded away a pick for Kareem Hunt.
We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I don't know.
2028 3rd-round rookie pick. So I mean, we're talking, not an elite asset there.
Yeah, I don't even know the draft class, to be honest. I couldn't even tell you. I need to start looking at college football more often to kind of get.
Or high school football if you want to start prepping for 2029.
Oh my God, that's so far away. That's insane that you guys can push it that far out. I love that.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's great. Okay. Seahawks Commanders, expecting a healthy Jaden Daniels here. I know that's not necessarily confirmed, but seems to be the trend here. Yeah, Seahawks also coming off of a bye. I mean, we've had a lot of good teams that did not play last week, which is probably why some of you that know ball like lost matchups, because you probably have good players and that were on all these teams that were on bye, it was a brutal bye-mageddon week, truly. But don't worry, you get JSN back. The Commanders thought they had their star receiver back in Terry McLaurin, but he re-injures his quad. So we're going to need some other pass catchers there to step up in this one if the Commanders want to keep it up. But I think the Seahawks should win this one pretty handily, even if we have a healthy Jaden Daniels. I think this defense is just too overbearing for what the Commanders have on offense.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Without a doubt. Like, it's just tough. Like, Jaden Daniels coming back in, how well the Seahawks D's been. I feel like it won't play out that well. I could see it in certain instances kind of being a closer game than most would predict. That game script is certainly on the table, at least in my opinion. Because at least throughout the season, like I thought the wide receivers for Washington have done a pretty considerable job, at least without McLaurin. So, we'll see. Maybe it is the revival with Jaden Daniels coming back, but that's if he can come back, of course, with, those nasty hamstring injuries that keep a lot of these rushing quarterbacks off the field. But outside of that, yeah, I think you know what you're getting with the Seahawks. You're seeing your Charbonnet on the line. You're seeing your Kenneth Walker breakouts throughout the field, and you're just seeing JSN make unbelievable catches. Like, you know what you're getting.
These coaches hate us fantasy players with how they use these running backs. Like, let's make both not usable at because you're getting like 6.2 points with Charbonnet, where he'll have that touchdown, but it'll be like a 2-yard run. That's all he'll get that game, and then Kenneth Walker will be a monster between the numbers and basically still get you like 7 fantasy points. It's just terrible, man. It is terrible. JSN though, like, man, this is like a true wide receiver 1 season. And I'm excited to see where he ends up finishing on points per game, because I think it'll be so close between him and Puka, and even Chase with some of the monster games he's had. But yeah, JSN's going to win people leagues for sure. Loved his celebration. I loved his dunk. We didn't get to talk about it last week, but oh gosh.
After he did that, I was sending off memes to my friends of I want to say it's that one picture of one of the NBA players dunking the ball and then the guy running by with his hands up.
Oh, Dwayne Wade and LeBron?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I sent that off because it reminded me. I just couldn't help but chuckle to it. It was great.
And Sam Darnold, like, pretty appealing in this matchup too here. I think the Commanders are pretty suspect on defense this year. And actually, okay, I do like Zach Ertz, though, because especially with McLaurin out, I think he'll benefit here. And I will say the Seahawks have not done the best against tight ends. It's like the one area where they're a bit weaker is in the middle of the field. So he could have a pretty solid game here. But still, we're still talking like a low-end tight end one. Mm-hmm. And then I think we're going to end the week with a shootout, because every game against the Cowboys is a shootout. It doesn't matter who they're playing. It was a shootout against the Panthers, and it's certainly going to be a shootout against the Cardinals on Monday night, coming off of their bye week, as is a big trend here. Cowboys just really disappointed last week. Again, I think it's really more of the power of the Broncos defense. And it's also Dak knowing that whenever I need him to get like just 10 points to get a win, I'm just not going to show up. When you blow out your opponent, though, and you win by 60, I'll put up 30 in that game. Like, come on, man. But here we go. So Cowboys at home. Dak is like usually on fire at home. So I think Cowboys will be clicking here, even though the Cardinals defense is pretty solid and they've had, 2 weeks to game plan for this. But our guy, I think Marvin Harrison, I think he has a monster game in this one.
I would love that. Absolutely love that. Because I think at least for this is like, he's primed for like the perfect situation to just come in and really do some damage on this Dallas defense. He's proven like nothing this year.
This might be the make it break it game for Mark, because like just every single wide receiver in the NFL that has played the Cowboys has like looked like Jerry Rice. So if Marvin like looks bad against this secondary, I won't admit it. I'll be looking to sell.
It's like not even defendable to a certain point.
But I'm such a believer in the year 3 breakout though. So I'm like Marv has shown enough where next year is year 3, like he could just be a monster next year. But I don't know. Like he should beat up this Dallas secondary, or if not, we'll just keep blaming Kyler. We'll just keep gaslighting.
Yeah, I can see it. I mean, I don't know. It's gonna be fun. Like I don't think in a world like there's no way like we see a Dallas blowout. I just can't imagine that. It just doesn't make sense.
They can't blow anybody out.
Yeah, like it's just not sustainable.
They lost to the Panthers.
Yeah, like it's crazy. So like it has to be a fun game. Like this has to like get me excited to go into my work day on Monday to just hopefully pull out a crazy game winner with CD. It has to be.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, didn't you? Like, okay, so some interesting news with the Cardinals is they released running back Michael Carter, not to be confused with the Jets trading their cornerback Michael Carter, who they used to be on the same team, which was even more confusing. So it looks like this backfield now, Trey Benson isn't returning yet. So it looks like we got Zonovan Bam Knight here. I think that's like an RB2 play against this defense. I mean, they had been rotating him and Carter and DeMercado, but I mean, now they're getting rid of Carter, which I don't understand necessarily either. Probably just they want to elevate another position to the active roster. But yeah, I think Zonovan Bam Knight scores in this game.
And clip that and make it the picture.
What did I say? So what's the parlay? We got 2 Derrick Henry touchdowns. We got what are my guarantees I've said this week? 2 Derrick Henry touchdowns, 2 Jonathan Taylor touchdowns, Zonovan Knight touchdown. I think I said Kamani Vidal. I said Marv would have a big game. He may not score. Let's throw Marvin there, and I think that might be it.
Hearing the mortal locks in real time.
It's a little 7-leg parlay. Okay.
I can't even imagine the odds for that. Like,
well, especially with 2 touchdown parlays are actually really fun because the odds are so good.
Odds are actually really nuts. Yeah, you probably make some good money on that. I don't see why not. Have some fun with it. That'll brighten your Monday.
Yeah. All right. We're not sponsored by any gambling though. You shouldn't gamble. If you do, gamble responsibly. I only bet this whole season I haven't been gambling. But I just did this past week. And as I was telling you before the show, it was electric. So
huge.
We may be back. Tight Ends Day is just free money. It is like if a third of the tight ends in the league are scoring every single week, just go bet 5 of them. It's going to hit.
It's like one of those things you just like can't go wrong, especially on the day made for the position. Yeah.
Yeah. We need like a national running backs. We just need this type of day for every position to help guide these trajectories. But we'll see. I don't think we'll do anything this week. But because I said on the podcast, I might have to put some money where my mouth is, but we'll see. We'll check back. We'll check back next week. All right, Evan.
Send me the link.
Yeah, I will. All right, thanks for joining me today, and we'll see everybody next week. This should be a fun weekend of football, and if your teams are struggling, you're not alone. Don't sweat it. Anything can happen. Stay faithful. All right. See y'all in the next one.